Testing. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of a soft speaker, so it has been a long time since I've been to the Waxhaw Club. I don't know how long, but it's been a long time. You guys were in a little house somewhere. And it was cold and dark. And I think I was doing the same thing. I don't know. But Waxhaw is actually, I'm going to tell a few stories as I'm turning, because it's pretty boring watching just turning. Waxhaw is actually the first place I got hurt when I started turning. I broke my toe. And I just started turning, but I fell in love with turning. I started in 2008, and I just took it and went with it. I went headstrong, and I haven't stopped. I mean, I just love it. I love seeing the shavings. I don't care if I'm making anything, just as long as I see shavings flying. To get something right off the bat with a few things. I posted a video the other day about me demonstrating here. You know, I was pretty excited about coming, and I was wearing these glasses, and I just cut a few shavings, and you know, the whole demo, it wasn't a demo, it was like 2 minutes. The whole thing was about me just coming up here and seeing everybody. And you know, the safety police come out on Facebook, which I'm a little bit outspoken, but when I'm in my shop, it's my shop. Okay, I put that out front. It's my shop. I'll do whatever I want to do in my shop. When I demo, I do wear safety glasses. These are my safety glasses. And I wanted to point out some other things that I do wear in my shop. And you know, if you invest in this, you do use it, right, Bruce? I mean, for you guys that know what this isn't something that's just a piece of furniture that you just lay around and do nothing. So when I think I need something, I'm gonna wear it. When I'm turning a hat like this, I had to wear a helmet. I call it a helmet. I was in the Marine Corps, so if anything on my head, it's a helmet or a cover. I had to wear one at the symposium when I demoed, and that was so dangerous for me. Now, it may not be dangerous for somebody else, but for me it was dangerous because I need to see everything when I'm down there and it's 1/8 of an inch thick. And it's wet wood, so I don't have windshield wipers on my shield. And I do wear them, but I just want to point that out. You know, if you've got to know what you're doing. And I'm not saying one might not blow up on me now, and it might hit Jerry up front right here. It ain't, just as long as it don't hit me, I'm fine. But I had about a 250-pound piece on my lathe I was turning, and my wife said, "Make sure you wear your face shield." I said, "If it comes off, it's going to kill me. That shield ain't going to help." But it helps, I'm telling you, because I'm the one that got hurt, okay? I'm the one everybody's took a write-up on. And, I mean, I have broke my nose, cracked my cheek, broke my fingers, I've broke them.
All from turning?
All from turning. So, I'm the one that got hurt. What I want to do is start this thing off like I do in my shop. I mean, I could start it off right here, already turned down, okay? But I figure, you know, some of you guys like to see some of this stuff going. This is the block of wood, and you guys can have this block of wood. This is another piece of wood. So all I did was I drew a center line. This is the other half of this log. Okay? I just drew a center line, and that's where my faceplate went. So that's the other half. So I got it on a faceplate. I don't have it between centers. We changed the belt a little bit ago, turned the speed off, and then turned the lathe on. And I've got to get kind of used to this lathe, so bear with me. And I don't want it to hit the tool rest. Now I've been in production all my life, so not with just turning. I had a drywall company, so everything's by the foot. You get paid, so that's how I took wood turning. I gotta do it fast. And this is a nice lathe. I was really worried because I've never turned on a Laguna. This is a nice lathe. So right now I'm about 5.5, and I turn left-handed. I'm right-handed, but I taught myself to turn left-handed doing the hats because most of the guys, well for me, and the shavings are coming right towards me. And that's what I eat fiber. So I had to teach myself to go this way. Okay? So we're just going to turn this down. I'm going to make a cone. The mini hat is approximately half the size of my full-size hat. So the measurements are half. It don't look like it's half, but it's half. Now the tool's my bolt gouge is on the tool rack. It's not up, because it'll slam it back down and then you break a finger. Okay? So I broke a couple of them. So all I'm doing is riding that, what we call riding the bellows for the knee joint. It's no different than a pocket knife, okay? I'm going to try to get, and there's nothing wrong with carbide tools either, because I have carbide tools. When you, if you guys have a pocket knife, and you're going to cut a piece of wood, I'm not going to cut it, but when you carve, you're cutting like this, right? You're cutting on the bevel of the knife. You're not going like this. Okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm cutting with the bevel, except it's a bigger bevel. This is the bevel. So we're just gonna turn this thing around. This block of wood is about 10 inches in diameter. And I can see the shadow of the excess wood coming off. So now I've almost got it round. I'm going to speed her up a little bit more. I usually on my lathe, sometimes I just go to a quick station. That right there is just fun, just taking the shavings off. I pushed the wrong button. So see, we've already got it round. What got me excited was I was in Concord seeing a guy turn, and he was making a bowl. And he was just taking the shavings out on the inside, and I'm like, do it again, I want to see that again. I mean, it's pretty neat watching this stuff. But making the hats, I heard about a guy named Chris Ramsey that made a hat. And I have been a woodworker all my life. And I said, there is no way you can make a hat on the lathe. So they had invited him to a wood turning, just like this wood turning club at night, or it was on a Saturday. And the guy that was the president of the club told me, oh yeah, you come on. It's $50 to see this guy. I said, okay, wow. I said, yeah, I'll go see. The guy was pretty smart, but he was really aggravating because he didn't tell me club members were free and it was $35 a year to be a club member. So But I don't care. I got my money's worth. And I met Chris, and me and Chris got to be real good friends. I went to John C. Campbell, which I'm sure all you guys have heard of John C. Campbell Folk School. I'm trying to get this at the center. It's just taking me a few minutes to get used to this thing. When you have one leg, I've got 3 Powermatics, and each one of them is different. I mean, it's just, you know, they're just, you got to hold your legs different on one than the other.
Are they going to be for sale tomorrow?
For sale tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. I want to get to the center, and see, I'm not at the center, so I need to lower this down more.
Jerry, Bill McGinnis stole his Powermatic
To get one of these?
to get a Laguna.
Yeah, but he's old.
Yeah. I don't know, I kind of like the gold. So, I lowered it down just so I could get to the center. Okay, what I want to do is make this flat. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. We're still pumping. We're rocking a little bit. That's okay. See, we're almost flat, so I'm going to get rid of a little bit more.
I'm afraid that place back tight. It has to be. He did it. Well,
Only thing I don't, well, the Powermatic, you got to push that thing down all the way. And I've noticed you don't have to really snug this one down. I'm trying not to, but I'm so used to it. We can get this, and we might just adjust the leg. Or I'm just making it a little bit smaller. Okay. And I'm going to flatten the front out a little bit more. That is actually the top of the hat where I'm fixing to work on. This is a fresh piece of wood, okay? It has water in it. Now, when I first started turning, I mean, I was into this stuff. I mean, I was really into it. The guy says you got to have green wood. And it ain't green. I mean, that's white wood. I didn't understand what he was talking about. Because all I've ever worked with, you know, flat wood doing cabinets. But I am one of the lucky ones that's just, I have a company that just, I can get this stuff all day long. I'm so thankful. And Bruce can tell you years ago, but I still back. Goes this way. It's opposite of what.
It is a little bit to get used to.
Yeah, it's just everything's kind of, but that's okay. I'm gonna get used to it. Years ago, when in Piedmont Club, someone said they had wood and stuff. You had to go. You know, someone was cutting a tree down, and man, all the guys go cut a tree down. Then they don't tell you there's a fence you got to climb over. And then I live out in the boonies, and I was so glad when I started getting connections. Okay, to find the center, I'm just going to bring my live center up. That's all I'm going to do. And then I'm going to find my center, and there's my center. Okay? And then we're going to take it off. So, I want to put this on the top side, okay? And then we find the center. I made this. And all this is, that's a piece of welded brass rod, okay? And then this was just a square piece of wood. I turned it down to fit inside. Put it inside there, stick it in there. And then you're good to go. Now I got my little point. We're going to need that little point later on. And the screws I'm using, I can pass them around. I don't use drywall screws or nothing like that. Even though I was in the drywall business and I thought that stuff was... These are... Okay, these are screws I use. Whoops. All right. Okay, next thing is you got to figure the size of this hat. So I always have to do the math because I'm always forgetting. Gotta find my pencil. Okay. I always try to figure there's 3/4 of an inch screws sticking in my wood. So that's 3/4 of an inch. Okay. My brim of the hat. And oh, I forgot to show you the hats. And it's not lacquered up good or whatever. They're just, because I just made these, and so there's, you can pass them around. So the brim is, I make it 3/4 of an inch. So I got 3/4 there. So I got screws and 3/4. Okay? And then from the bottom of the band to the top of the hat on my full-size hat is 4.5 inches. So if it's a half the size, it's 2 1/4. So we just do the math. So I got 3/4 and 3/4, that's 1.5 inches. And then 2 1/4. So what's that, class? 3 3/4, right. So from this part here, the top of the hat, I come over 3 3/4, right? I make a mark. Sometimes they get a little bit thin. And we're gonna, okay, that's the top of the hat. So we got to get rid of that. And I'm not going to get to the line. I'm taking a lot of wood off at one time, so I don't want to get to the line too much because it'll rip the wood out. When it was really hard to get wood from the beginning for me, when we got wood, we would save it. I would save it in a 55-gallon drum of water. So after a few weeks, I put it on the lathe. It was a sewer. It was a sewer.
So how do you store your green wood?
I don't. I just go get more. I mean, basically. Now last year, last year I think I had invited people over to get whatever wood they want at my shop, and some of they got ones they gave had pretty nice wood, I think. And I mean they came away with truckloads of wood. All right, so we're almost to my line. Okay, now we got to get the brim size. So on a typical cowboy hat, it's 15 5/8, 15 1/2. Just pretty close, rounded off. So half of 15 1/2, 7 and
3/4.
There you go, 7 3/4. So we're gonna make this 7
I was
3/4.
close.
I keep on losing my pencil. I don't know why. I usually set it up here. Got too many pockets. All right, I can't.
Under the pile on the lathe bed?
I can't find it. It's not in my pocket. That's all right. We'll figure it out. So I'm going to get this down to 7 3/4. Okay, let's see how close we are. And we'll show about an inch. So I'm still riding on the bevel. Sometimes you can't, you know, like you're just cutting, starting off, you can't get on the bevel because all it does is go bumpity, bumpity, bump. Okay, let's see how that looks. We are getting real close. Yep. 1/8 inch. And if we got an 8, we need to take off the 16 because it's half of it. Alright, let me double check it. Now the top hat was just something completely, it's just different. It's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit harder to make. Okay, now we're going to remeasure. I'm going to go back up. Now we're going to measure again. It was 3/4, 3/4, and then, what did we say? So now it's, and the total was 3/4, 3/4, 1.5 inches, right? And then 2 1/4, 3 3/4. How did I say so? All right. Hopefully I can see that. Okay, here's my pencil.
Improvise with that.
You gotta improvise somewhere. I made sure I brought me a fat one so I wouldn't lose it too. Okay, so we're gonna start taking some lighter cuts. Because what happens is the wood tears. And typically I would go ahead and sharpen my tool again. But we're going to make this work because I think I got about 4 of them I brought. But I'm going to try to get it to last as long as I can. You let the wood or the tool do the cutting, okay?
Jerry, what's your preferred wood? What's your preferred wood for turning out?
I like maple. I just the ambrosia maple is just, as far as like what I can pretty well tell what it's going to do to me, you know. I mean, now you guys know the winter cut and the summer cut, it's different. I mean, sometimes there is so much water. See how that's tearing out? So if I had a real sharp tool with a real small bevel, I could cut it out going that way and it wouldn't tear out as much. So we're gonna go the opposite direction. You can see how my shavings aren't quite as big. My tool's a little bit dull. Okay, see how it took that tear out. So I'm gonna see how we are right there. We're still good. We're a little bit. when there was a Charlotte club, I broke their lathe. You remember that, Bruce?
A big chunk of wood, too.
I remember it.
Boy, I really.
Is that the one you have now?
I have the
Okay, we're gonna. You know, I don't know if they ever asked me to demo again. Yeah, I think they did. Charlotte Club was a good club too. All of them are. Okay, I'm gonna make one little. See if I can make another.
Yeah.
See the shavings coming off? Just that new sharp tool. And it feels good. And okay, that's looking better. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of curve, just a little bit. And anybody can make these. I mean, there's no written rule on how to do these things. You just have fun with it, that's all it is.
Huh.
Okay, let me see what she looks like. It might be tore out a little bit. Tore out just a tad. Okay, now we've got to change, now we've got to put our chuck there. So what I do is I get my dividers. Okay, and this is the way I do it, okay? And I've done them different ways, but this is just my preferred method. Sometimes I've seen guys not even faceplate them. But that's just me, I like to faceplate. And then I take a Badan. It's over here somewhere, amongst all my tools. And spindle gouge. I'll go ahead and get my chuck while I'm here too. So I just like using the Badan. I mean, you can use the spindle gouge and make a recess, or you can just. This is called a Badan. Don't ask me why it's called a Badan, but that's what they call it. Learn them English things, I guess.
French.
It's French, made in England. And I do a lot for crown. I use a lot of crown tools. And the owner of Crown told me Sorby's steel comes from the same place their steel comes from. But I use them both. I don't. Is that the Sorby? Yeah, this one's a Sorby. And this is a Crown. I just made the handle. It's just in the steel. So I'm gonna clean it up. Okay, now we're going to just put our chuck in there. Make sure I got it the right size. And it looks good to me. Look good to you guys?
Yeah.
Here,
You good to you?
open it
They're
up.
going?
Okay,
Let's do this up.
get this tool up.
Bien fait.
All right, then we're going to take this back off. I pushed the on button and it's That's how I broke the Charlotte lathe. The tooth in there, when I did it, I had a big chunk of wood on there.
That was a big chunk.
That was a big chunk of wood.
Down the convention center, wasn't it?
No, was it at the convention center? I thought it was at the,
Yeah, Rick Erickson fixed it.
was it? We used to go out a lot. We had a ball. My wife keeps me straight. I found my pencil. It's in the pocket that I didn't think it was in. Okay, we're gonna come up we're gonna come up 3/4, okay? Now we're on the brim side. So we're gonna make a mark. Okay. Okay, that is the total thickness of our brim. From the top of the brim down to the bottom. So I want to get, we're making that swoop. Okay? The thickness of the hat, how big it is this way. Usually I measure them. I measure your head. Usually it's 7 and 5/8. So half of 7 and 5/8 is. Well, we gotta have some mathematicians now in here.
Calculator.
5/16.
What's half what's half of 7 and a half?
3 3/4.
Okay, so we're just making 3 3/4 because I have, every squirrel has a different size head. So we're gonna make this 3 3/4. The other reason we're gonna make it 3 3/4 is because I made this jig. And this is what we're going to use later on. And this is an under counter light. That's the batteries look like they're about dead, as usual. But that's okay. So that's what this jig is. And I got to get my hat to fit on there. So we'll make it 3 3/4. So we're going to take it all the way to that line. We're going to find our 3 3/4. Gotta be around here somewhere, right? Might be close to there. Still too big. That's gotta be real close. Yeah, so we're gonna take it. That's not 3 3/4. It's close enough for right now. So we're going to take all that to the line. You guys getting wet yet?
Yeah.
I'm getting wet up here.
Yeah.
We want this one at 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to get my calipers. Now you don't want to put your calipers on there when it's running. Okay? That hurts. I'm telling you, it hurts. Now, I'm going to tell you all the 50 ways to get hurt on this lathe. You've already seen a few. You should cut it off when you're moving the tool rest. But sometimes I don't listen to myself. I'm wired tonight because I got something that was just unbelievable that happened to me today. That was just I'm learning to play guitar. You know, you can't get hurt with a guitar unless you're in a bar and cause a fight. So I've been playing guitar, and I mean learning to play guitar. And I have a nice one, but I was looking just like lathes. You got to have another one. So I looked at one. I went back and looked at it again. And for the guys who know guitars, it's a Collings. And it has all the inlays, and it is actually signed by Collings. And you know, he's dead. And it's a brand spanking new guitar. Well, I work for a sawmill, and the family came to my shop today and presented me with that guitar. So I'm on a little cloud 9. I mean, it's like nobody does that. Yes. Yes. So me and my wife are very blessed. Very blessed. We are just so I am I'm just so excited. So if I blow this thing up, it's not my fault, it's his fault. I told him, I said, of all the days you do this. So we're almost to where we want it. Can you guys tell how it's coming about now? You see how the top is? I mean, we could leave it like that and it'd be a pilgrim hat. Right? I mean, you know.
Hey Jerry, how come you don't wear your full-size wooden hat?
Why don't I wear them? They're hot. Now, my dad wore his everywhere he went. Everywhere my dad went, he wore his hat. And he'd always, oh, make me another one. I said, okay, Dad. Yeah, I will. I never did. I never made my dad another hat. And then he died. And Bruce was talking about urns. Well, years ago, I had a company in Rock Hill. They saw me at a show, and they wanted, hey man, he was an English guy. He says, hey mate, can you make an urn out of that hat? So I made an urn out of the hat, and they went all over the world, basically. And didn't make very many of them, but you know, the ones that went. And so I made my dad an urn hat. So that was that was the toughest thing I've ever made. Okay, so we had 2.5, now we're 2 1/4. So now we're at our 2 1/4. And that's not 3/4, but it's close enough for me. You know, it's not going, I'll still try to use this because I'm going to run out of tools if I'm not careful. I think it bumped something. So, okay, the faceplate. The faceplate is 3 inches, right? So, I'm using the faceplate. Okay, the top of my hat's 3 inches. My big hat's top of it's 6 inches because top of my other faceplate's 6 inches. You keep it simple. Okay? So that's the top of the hat. I'm going to put a little groove in there. That way I know where it's at. And now we're going to shape it, okay? So we're going to get down to about 3 inches, and I prefer to do a slight ogee. Okay, just like that. See how that thing goes? I was lucky on that. It's the first time I did it. Okay, then I'm going to cut this back a little bit. This is the band. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to make the band just a hair smaller. Okay, now we've got to do the brim. Okay, see our brim's flat, so now we want to kind of do a soft curve on it. And there's a number of ways you can do it, and I'm going to use my finger down a little bit more. And let me see. I cannot see it. Ooh. Is that light gonna mess you guys up?
No.
Can you just let me know? Because I don't have a good overhead light. So we're gonna get this down to about 1/8 of an inch at the edge of the brim. So when I went to the school, John C. Campbell, he gave a class on how to make a hat. You know, and it's a 1-week class. And after that, you're on your own. You know, you get home to your shop and you gotta figure it out. So, I got some stuff there I gotta cut out. So, I'd call Chris out, and he'd encourage me, and I just kept on every Saturday. I'd spend all day out there, and I'd come in, and my wife says, well, what'd you make? Sawdust. I mean, it was just constantly like that. So you just don't ever give up. One time I thought, I had the hat made. I mean, I had it. I thought I was Mr. It. And I was almost done, and the thing broke. And my shop's 80 foot long, and it sailed. And then I went in the house, and I had a talk with myself. And I said, I'm doing this for fun. I said, why get all worked up about it? It's just wood. That's what everybody needs to know. It's just wood. If you mess it up, there's another piece of wood. So after that, it started really coming pretty good for me. And, not to say I don't break them. I mean, it's just wood. I mean, my wife can tell you, I'm out there, I'm making a hat. And it's usually when I'm making a hat for a customer, or, I'm doing I love donating to, different nonprofits. And it's I always end up making it, like, at the last minute. And I know none of us do that. It's like these little hats, I made them at the last minute because I just haven't had time. And you mess it up and you're like, oh gosh, I gotta get another one made. You're under pressure. So I can hear click, 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 click. And sometimes it might be a knot hole, and it might be already a crack. Or it might be just a dull tool hitting a hole. Yeah, see, it's hitting a hole. But see how fuzzy that is? I am not going to be able to get rid of that with these tools without being sharpened or anything. But we're not going to worry about it.
We have a set of those carbide tools.
Oh, then it'd be fuzzy all over.
Yeah, well, I just don't know. Easy Tools gave me some tools, and they wanted me to demo. It's just that I'm not used to it, Now I didn't come up with this idea. It's called a hummingbird house, but I did come up with a mass production deal of it. I was making a bunch of them for Our State magazine, and they ordered a bunch of them. I mean, a bunch. Gotta figure out how to keep my fingers from getting snug in there. Okay. And so what I did is I took the carbide tool, the flat one, and I had to make a bunch of tenons on the birdhouse that I was making. So I bought a Sorby tool. It's a tenon maker, which no one demonstrates. No one knows how to use it, except me. Because I've never seen it demonstrate, and the guy that sells the tools, I don't think he knows how to use them either. So I put the carbide tool on there, and it just worked. Once you get the rhythm going. Okay, this is what we got so far. See, that's the hat, that's the brim. See the curvature? Okay, and then we're going to take this off.
Yeah.
We're going to take this off. Now we're going to have to hollow the inside out now. So you got to be careful setting this down because it can fall off and hit the floor.
Area.
If it hits the floor, what happens? You make another one.
You get another piece of wood.
You get another piece of wood. That's it.
Yeah, there's one back there in the back.
Yeah. I had at the Cabarrus County Fair, and someone asked me, and it was a finished hat, Well, will it break if you drop it? I said, I don't know. I've never dropped one. I said, let's see. So I dropped it. It didn't break. I said, it didn't break. I said, let's see if it does it twice. So I dropped it, and it broke. I said, it breaks on the second time.
Jerry, what's the least amount of water, moisture level in a piece of wood would you?
The least amount. I don't really know about which I just get a fresh log.
First log.
I get a fresh log, and I can base it. Well, I'll tell you, with the mini hats, with the mini hats, not the full size hats, but the mini hats, you can push your luck on them.
Okay.
This one was fresh. This is this log. So I picked this log up Friday. This log, gosh, a couple months, but it's a full length log. So, but a full size hat, you're not going to get away with it. It's just, even sanding, and Bruce taught me this when I first started. When we were at Charlotte Club, because I've always tried to make hats. I mean, that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to turn, I just make hats. I was talking to Bruce one, and it cracked on the brim. I kept on having problems. And Bruce says, you're sanding too much. I don't know if you remember that. But I said, that's it. I said, I'm sanding too much. So got it hot. So you try to make better cuts. And over the years, my cuts have made, they're better. Are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. I still got sand. But
Jerry, do you find that you need to go from start to finish with a hat instead of taking like a lunch in between and the hat's going to work?
Yeah, I usually, if I'm giving a class, we'll take a lunch break at the point they're at. And usually I try to get them to this point when we're doing a class. A lot of times, it depends on the person. Charles Farrar, which I don't know if any of you guys know Charles Farrar, he was he had a show at the other what's that other museum? Harvey Gantt Museum, and I mean he was just a phenomenal turner, real art stuff. He was in the shop about 8 hours trying to turn in half. It's just, and that's the typical on a lot of guys. It takes about 8 hours the first time. So, and it is a lot of, it's pressure because you cannot move. It's like right now. Okay, I'm going into this piece of wood. I need to get it an 1/8 of an inch thick. I'm going in grain. I'm going that direction. So you need it steady. Plus I'm on a new lathe that I've never worked on before. So it's all, all this stuff. So I've got to pay attention. And the way I approach the wood is, okay, I call this the heel. And that's the toe. Okay? So this is the wood. So I'm coming in here like this, and then I'm lifting it up and then going that way. I'm not just directly going in. Okay? So I'm going to come in, and the tool. Okay, you see how I came in that way? There's only so many tools I got in the shop. Let's see. I'm going to try to fix this. You want a sharp tool. I mean, that's the whole thing about wood turning. They got to be sharp. That's the bottom line. You don't have sharp tools. You don't have a grinding jig. Get one. And wood turning is not a cheap thing to get into. Okay? I mean, just ask my wife. She buys this stuff for me all the time. Okay, we're gonna make this 1/8 of an inch. And that's 1/8 of an inch. That's how thick we're gonna make it. So we're just,
Your membership has been
I'm gonna get it down here. And we're almost there. We're there, right there. So, I can see a little bit of glow. And we'll just have to caliper the whole thing probably. Sort of big deal.
You getting some light shining through that.
If we go through it, we just go through it, that's all. I'm getting a little bit. Let's see. Okay, again, you don't want to put the calipers on while it's running, because you'll break the brim. Okay, so.
Did you read that in a book?
Yeah, I read that one in a book. The same process, I kind of hit the heel a little bit. I can see a little bit of glow, but oh, there we go. All right, I can see it now. I know you guys can't see it on this side. So now, ambrosia maple and sycamore, they have like a holes in it. It's called the ambrosia beetle that makes all this markings. Well, when I first started, you know, just like this, I'd get pretty wood, and then the hole looked like you cut the hat in half, because there's nothing but daylight going on. Oh, gosh, I cut it in half. It's like, well, you didn't cut it in half because it'd be in half. It was just the light, the hole. Okay, so we're just going to continue up the brim. It's getting a little orangey. The brim's starting to wobble a little bit. You see it's a little bit snug. That means it's not 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to try to get it. You see it already, you can hear it moving. And we'll get rid of some of this wood.
See, he can hear it moving just like I can see you.
And she feels pretty good. It's got a little bit of grab, but it's already moving. This one's really wet. So we're just going to continue in there. Now, I don't know who wrote all that stuff about me on explaining about me. I don't know where they come up with that. And I had an article that was in a magazine, and it was Ortho Carolina, actually, and they had.
And they knew you about.
They knew me real well. Okay? They knew me really, really well. Well, all I'm going to do is just keep on going in. I'm cutting out. So they wanted it. I was working on my shop, and I was painting it, and I have a big paint range. Well, one day when I was painting, and on a Sunday, I was cleaning my paint gun out, and it just so happened my finger got in front of the paint gun. And I had injected paint into that finger. Right there. So, I said, well, ain't nothing. I mean, you know, it closed up, it wasn't nothing. Then I took my pocket knife and cut it, and it wouldn't bleed. That's when I knew I had a problem. So I told my wife, I said, I think we might ought to go to the VA. So, went to the VA, was there 5 hours. I had no room between my fingers. That's how big my hand blew up. And the little doctor says he was going to get me a plastic surgeon to work on my finger. And my wife said, he ain't get a plastic surgeon before I am. Yeah, it's just my middle finger. What the heck? She just had total knee replacement too. Just had it. So, you know, we're screwed up. So 5 hours later, they decided that I needed to go to Ortho, Carolina. Well, they did 2 surgeries on me. The first surgery, I don't know, I guess it went well, I don't know, but they left everything open. And when I woke up, the nurse, you know, they come running in there and they said, we need you to sign this. I said, sign what? Well, she wanted me to sign a paper. They were going to cut that finger off. I said, well, I've had that finger a while. I said, I want to get cut off. She said, well, you need to sign it just in case the doc has to cut it off. And I might, you know, they're going to probably cut it off. I'm like, golly. I mean, walk around with a nub. And so I signed the paper. Then I asked, I said, what do you do with my finger? So they said, well, we throw them away. I said, you're not throwing my finger away. She said, well, I said, I want my finger back. She says, you want your finger back? I said, yes, I am a wood turner. My wife already knew where I was going. I said, I'll make a finial, and that'll be the box. So, okay, Jack Ryong is coming here. I think he's demoing. Isn't he coming up?
Next month.
Okay, he's coming up. Jack happened to be at the hospital when I went down for the second surgery. And he walked with me on the gurney, and he was in there with, well, she couldn't go down there. I mean, she just had knee surgery. And the doc had his, you know, that stuff on his head. He was ready to go, and they were hooking me up. And Jack says, hey, Doc, I bet she'll make you a cowboy hat if you save that finger. I said, you doggone right, Doc. I'll make all 3 of you surgeons a hat. Because I had 3 surgeons. And I woke up and I had my hat. Or I had my finger. I had my finger. And when I went back, I said, well, I need to line it up so I can measure all you guys' heads. And you know, you're in this little cubicle. You know how big cubicles are. I had all these 3 doctors on their knees measuring their heads. And the one doc says, man, I hope my nurse don't come in. Well, they had a showing at the Mint Museum for me. And it wasn't just for me. They worked on people's hands. It was called Our Hands. My Hands or something. And the girl came out and they did a story. It was supposed to have been 30 minutes to an hour she was going to be at the house. She was there 8 hours. 8 hours in my shop, in my house. And we just redone an old 100-year-old house. And so she's the one that came up with all that, what was in your article, to have, you know, for me to come. Where's the Renaissance movement? What's that? Yeah, romantic. She can tell you I'm not romantic. Philosophy.
I was reading this stuff and I said,
I'm like, who am I married to?
who wrote this stuff?
So it was,
Apparently somebody doesn't know him very well.
Yeah, so
I was joking.
it was pretty neat. I mean, for you guys, the reason why I get invited to do demos is one, as they say, if he can do this, I can do it, okay? That's basically the reason. I have been hit by lightning. I've been electrocuted. I've been hit by lightning. I have been hit by a tractor trailer truck. I've been, what else?
Well.
I mean, I was in my truck.
In your truck.
I was in my truck and got hit by a tractor truck. What else is it? You know, I'm not out there walking. Getting hit by lightning, though, that hurts. I mean, that hurts. I'm telling you. So we're all already up to the band in here. My son and I, we went to a log cabin school, and we went canoeing. I don't go canoeing, but we were, you know, that one Sunday, the guy said, "Oh, take my canoe down the creek." So we go down the creek. It was rip-roaring rapids. Rip-roaring rapids. We get thrown out a few times. And then we come up to some white water rapids. And my son says, "Oh, we can make it, Dad, we can make it." I said, "Okay." Well, he made it, but I didn't. And then we came up across some more. And then it would come up worse. I'm trying to get jumping this band. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to see if we can get jumping this band. But if you guys ever went canoeing and the canoe broke in half, that means you went canoeing. The canoe broke in half. I didn't tell my wife a lot of that for a long time. I think my son snuck in some stories about that. I don't like my wife to worry.
And how does that work?
Okay, I am almost to jump that band. I'm almost there. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. But here, it's still scraping. I am still not an eighth of an inch. You think you're an eighth. See the light coming through? So,
Got a little shadow there.
now on a big hat, it basically turns yellow. I demonstrate the big hats. I'll be at the North Carolina Symposium this year. So if you guys are going to the symposium, you can see me make the big hats. And, I think I'm doing the little hats, and then they may have me doing the birdhouses too. I'm not positive, but I do. Okay, see, it's still not there. And I'll be turning a hat in Asheville, I think the 22nd, in Kingsport, in Asheville.
Are you back at the extravaganza?
Yeah, I do the extravaganza every year.
That's what I do.
October 17th,
Yeah,
something like
something
that.
like that. And that's a fun show. I mean, that is a really fun show. When I first went, I mean, I didn't know how to turn. I tell you, I didn't know how to turn, but I wanted to turn, and I just kept at it, and I kept at it. And I had no idea the booth that was next to us was the people that owned Crown Tools. Had no idea. I didn't know who they were. And I had made an ugliest little box for her. And then we'd see her the next, see them the next year. Then finally I, found out they were Crown Tools. And then they saw me improving. I think. And then they started sending me all these tools. Sent me these tools. I mean, I got 3 sets of these. And these are just wonderful, wonderful. And I had demonstrated for them. I've never been to the plant yet. I'd love to. Okay. Okay, so we're real good. But you guys are getting the gist of it, right? So we're gonna see if we can move my light down a little bit so I can get in here. See, it's hard for me to wear the face shield down here. You guys understand that. Even after all my injuries, I told my wife, I said, well, I think I'm going to get me a football helmet, football pads on and everything else. The things you can come up with wood turning is just unbelievable. I had made a duck call, newel post. Because the guy I worked for, he's a duck hunter. So I made a condo for him, and the newel post, I made it look like a duck call. And I had made a shotgun shell, and that's the top of it. I was telling you about me and my son, about the canoe trip. Well, I got stuck in the middle of the river. He went floating down the river. And he come walking up there, his blue jeans all tore. I'm coming in after you, Dad. And, well, I've watched too many movies, Deliverance and all that. He said, no. I said, you are not coming in here. I said, I'll figure a way to get out of here. And somehow I had one oar. I had an oar left. Somehow I got out, and there was rhododendrons. And I don't know if you guys know about rhododendrons. I had to crawl on my belly to get out. Well, we didn't know where we were at. All we knew, it was Big Reed Island Creek. Well, we get up to a gravel road, and my son said, oh, Dad, we need to take a right. And I had sprained my ankle, too. I said, why we need to take a right? Oh, just look, Dad, look at the house numbers. We need to take a right. I thought, well, man, he knows more than I do. I guess he went to school longer than I did. So I said, okay, we'll take a right. We take a right, and I'm hobbling. We go, I don't know how far. It's long ways, long ways. And then we come up to this sign. This sign says, State Road Ends.
Don't make a right.
Yeah. I said, his name's Tiger. I said, Tiger. He said, take a right. Well, that's what I thought, Dad. So we get all the way back to where we started from, and I bet you wasn't here in the parking lot where my truck was. The creek went like this. I was like, good land. So I was up there about 9 days making a cabin. I mean, from tree to cabin. I mean, it's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat experience me and my son had. When my wife wanted to come up there, she wanted to visit us.
I know, you want me to come out of time, you would've got me.
Well, she couldn't stay in the tent. It was that bad.
He's over here.
I mean, I was loving it. I could have stayed there the rest of my life.
He's over here, down here, I'm loving you. I can just sit here and I said, I gotta teach you civilization.
See, that's why she likes coming. She likes, straightening me out on stories. Okay. So, we are almost up to the top. And the dome, the top of the hat. Okay, I like to have I call it an innie, not an outie. okay, you know how your belly, you want it,
I'm sorry, Don, I'm not falling down my job here.
you want to drown on it. So we're going to start doing that slowly. And then we'll check it. See this? This is my jig. What's it say? Keep mini. So I check it to make sure it's an innie. It's slowly going that way. And it is. I have the hardest time losing stuff, so that's why I have to mark it. I have so much wood in my shop. Alrighty, so now we're going to go. Okay, I am real close. Okay, I'm going to go in. Just a little bit more. I'm going to take a scraper. I don't care who says it. This is a tool, okay? And I use it because this is what I like using. It's sharp. It cuts. It's like that, what's that program called? And it cuts. What's that Japanese guy?
Fortune 5.
Yeah. And it cuts.
Do you sharpen
It
it
kills.
with the cutting edge down?
Yeah, I just run it like this.
I do mine with the table tilted down.
Okay, that's the way I do my beating tool.
Right.
And then I have them with a bevel on the top. It depends on what I'm doing. I got a bevel both sides.
Good tool.
But I just, and you really need the tool rest higher than the center, because you want it kind of going like that. You don't want it to go like that, because it'll grab on you. And I'm just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. So I don't use it much. Let's see what she looks like. Oh yeah, she feels good too. All right. Now I want to show you. This is just a little trick, okay? Now typically on a full-size hat, I'm going to bring this around. You see where my calipers are? See where it's at? They're not all the way up at the top. On a full-size hat, I could take my calipers all the way around because I'm looking for the lightness. I want it to be as light as I want them to be light. These little mini hats, the time it dries out, you don't know how thick it is. So I leave that. I leave a little bit of thickness on there because my light ain't working either. Got the fiber in my throat. So I'll leave it a little bit thick. And move everything out of your way, okay? Because you're going to take it off, and then if it hits that, what happens? You broke a brim. So we're going to try to get this. Oh, it didn't come off. I'm glad it came off. You see how the black's getting on it? It's just coming off of me. That's why I wear rubber gloves. It's just easier to wear rubber gloves. I had one of the safety people chew me out for wearing gloves. Well, he didn't know they were rubber. And I blow it out too. I blow it out, which will make sure that's going to fit. It barely fits. Probably could have got that a little bit thinner. Let me try something real fast. I could have made that just hair thinner. See, everything is combined together. That's the thing. If you don't do one thing, it could have been the wrong measure. We're going to make it work. So this is the little jig I made. And I just threaded. I just got a couple pieces of wood glued up, and then I threaded it. And then you have to do another cut down there to make this thing run true. And then this is just one of them for Coke cans. That's all that is.
What is it? Koozie.
What do you call it?
Koozie.
Koozie? Yeah. And it just fit on there. So that worked pretty good. And then that's just the under counter light that the batteries are dead in. But oh well. Okay, probably could have cut a little bit more, but we're just getting the gist of things here tonight. Okay, then, okay, see that's a cone. It didn't have a mark on it before I started. See, it's got a line now because of there. We're going to line it up center. Okay, so that's going to center it up better. And I'm going to try to. Can you blow it up now? Yeah, you can blow it up. You can blow it up. Just, you know. Okay, what I do is I sand a little bit. And I sand the inside before I turn it around. And then I put 50-50 lacquer in it. That way it seals it up and I don't get it dirty. It holds the moisture in a little bit more. And then, I don't even think I even brought my sander. I was going to sand a little bit, but that's okay. This is the sand, one of the sanders I use. I got, you know, one for one grip, one for another, one for, you know, you just have them lined up. Anyway. So I sand it, do a little bit of hand sand, put it in reverse, sand it. It's not fun to watch, okay? And then we got to color the band, and it's probably not going to color good right now, just because it's so wet. But I use Paduke. The reason I use Paduke is that's what Chris says to use, so I use Paduke. I use Paduke and Epic. These were like, you know, you buy a board of this and it'll last you the rest of your life doing this. And I usually run it pretty fast. And can you break it? Yeah, you can still break it now. You can burn it. So we're going to try to color it. It's just, the wood is just so wet. I usually take my air hose and blow it out. The wood has a couple different kinds of cells in it. And this one's ebony. Okay. So that gives you an idea of what I did, okay? And then we're going to take the screws out. Can't take it out till this stops though. Alright. And you got to be careful the way you take screws out, because I had a Bosch, so it's smaller than this P-wall. So I was unscrewing it and my Bosch got stuck right here. So what happens? I broke a hat. Oh, see my light? You can see the light in there now. Look at that. I don't know what I did. I put power to it. Let me turn my light on. Look at that. See that? Isn't that pretty cool? Now the only thing about my rig up, the way I did it, you don't really want to put it in reverse unless you glue it in. Because you put it in reverse, it's threaded, that one part, and it unthreads, and it goes bang, bang, bang inside your hat. And you're like, what did I do? It ain't broke, where's it at? That's what happened to me. So, you see how much meat I got up there. I got a lot of meat. And no one would really know unless they told me. See, there's no secrets with me. Other way. So we're going to take this off. We're going to hold the hat. We're going to put this back on. Remember the little point we had? That's it. So now we're back to where we were at square one. I'm going to move this. That wire scares me. I don't want it to wrap around, mess anything up. Okay. So now that we're down to almost our last couple tools, You know, me and my wife, when we got out of the Marine Corps, we bought an old 100-year-old house in Richfield, North Carolina. We didn't know it had ghosts either. We had ghosts in our house. I mean, it did some crazy things. And as my wife says, it never did nothing to her, but it did me. It scratched my leg, and one day I was working second shift, and she was working first shift, and she says, "Oh, thanks for the pancakes." I said, "What pancakes?" So, okay, we got to get rid of this wood. Now, what I'm doing here is the exact same thing you do if you're going to make a bowl. Ain't nothing different. It's just a little thinner. So, I've got it hanging on there, and basically, as you can tell, it's hanging on there. So, I'm wanting to push this way, okay? I don't want to push out that way, not yet. So, we're gonna take light cut. And we probably got a little bit, we got more meat up there than I would typically have, but that's okay. So now we're gonna go across. We're going to make a light cut, and we're still doing the same process as we've been doing, heel to toe, heel to toe. That's it. Just something that simple. Okay, then we're going to move in a little bit more.
You're still good.
That one moved. Okay. Okay, I like doing that little bead up there at the top of the hat. Okay, I would sharpen in between a lot of it. Okay, I don't want you to go waste, say you don't need to sharpen. I would have unsharpened this probably 3 times already doing this, okay? It's nothing. I mean, I feel like I'm pushing a little bit harder than I need to be. And you don't really want to be pushing too much, not at this point. Okay, we're going to slow it down. See if I can take it off with my spindle gouge. It's just... So right now you could break your hat too here. See this little tit on the top? I've had it where I cut it out and it gets stuck in between the tool rests. So you can tell these things are really dull. So you want to get this out of the way.
Jerry, is that rim too thin to put in the coal jaws?
The rim.
The brim of the hat.
It's going like this.
Okay.
I I mean, I probably wouldn't, but ain't nothing cutting no more. My cutter's about all cut out. And then a lot of stuff you can kind of sand it out, you know? Sand it round. Yeah, it's just. I just can't get a good clean cut, man. Okay, we'll call it that. And then you just got to be careful taking it off. And that's okay. So we got. Okay, so we got the hat made. Then we got to have a jig. So I made this. I had to have a miniature jig for a miniature hat.
Yeah.
Okay, and all this is a couple little pieces of wood and plywood. So I got these little nails down here holding the plywood. I'm gonna stick the hat in here. The top hat, I use those kind of clamps. I just squeeze them together and tie a rubber band around them. It works. And you can do the same thing with these. You just set this up here like this. Have your grain going that way, okay? So see, there's the grain, and then you tighten it up. Okay. And then you,
Is that making an oval?
that's what makes the oval. That and the rubber bands. That's what makes the oval. So you can get your rubber bands, and you can start like right here. I got little nails on the side.
Have you tried praying, Jerry, when you do that? You pray much?
Oh yeah, my wife does a lot of that for me. Okay, so by the time I get done bending this, I got my rubber bands all the way down here. Okay, and then typically like these hats, the mini hats, I can put a light on them now or maybe 2 hours from now. A full-size hat, you got to wait at least 12 hours because you want that moisture to get out of there. This is sanded and lacquered, so the moisture's still in there. So, and then you come in there after the light's on for a while. You tighten these down more, pull the rubber bands down more, and that's what you get.
You come back every hour and do that?
No. Like this one here. I mean, those there. I was in the shop probably an hour after I got through, and I tightened it up again real tight, and I had a light on it. And then the next morning, it was like that.
When you say a light, you mean to heat it up?
Just a light bulb, not an LED.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A regular bulb that gives off some heat.
Yeah, you don't want to do what well, we not nothing against the Northerners now. They gotta get this right. I've been working at the beach, and I'm working on condo, and where the water lines are downstairs in the, guess what they used as a light bulb to keep the water lines warm when we had that big freeze at Christmas? LED lights. I'm like, what are you guys thinking? No, I just talk about Northern. I was born in Ohio, so I'm about as bad as you guys are. Not quite. I've been down here a long time though. But yeah, Anybody got any more questions?
On the finish,
Yeah.
what type of finish did you have?
I just use lacquer. You can use a spray lacquer like Deft or whatever. That's what I started off with. But now I have an HVLP gun and I buy it by gallons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just so much
And
easier.
the 50-50 mix.
Okay, that's what, like right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just the thinner for the lacquer thinner. And you're basically just helping seal it up a little bit. You're not really putting a finish on it. You're just sealing it a little bit.
Right.
And it dries like that, you know, because I'd sand the inside out real good.
No, but I'm all out.
And then I'd take a paintbrush, put it on there, let it dry, and then I'd stick it on here. Do the same thing on the top, then rubber band it. And then in 2 days, well, I did those Saturday. So I sanded them. And I just started lacquering them this morning. And I didn't get what I needed to get done with. But that's basically how, that's how it just, I buy it from Sherwin-Williams. And they have a gun now that all you have to do is change these little plastic tips. You do not have to clean the gun. Oh, it's amazing. I mean, yes, it's amazing because you buy this canister and it's got a thin piece of plastic you stick in there. That's where your lacquer goes, or your paint, whatever. And then it even has a little screen at the top, so you don't even have to, you know, run it through anything. And then the gun, you're always using the gun. You just buy these little plastic tips, and you can use them maybe 3-4 times. All I do is rinse them out with some, yeah, that's it, and let it sit and dry. You don't want it to soak. And then just pop them on again, or just I leave it on the gun, really. I leave it on the gun, and I just pour some lacquer thinner in there to shoot it, and I'm good to go again. And that's because I was, you know, I got the other HVLP system. You got to clean the can out. You got to do all this mess. And it's so discouraging for someone that just does it, you know, that doesn't make catalyst. But this stuff, I mean, it costs you a little bit up front, you know, for the gun. But you can hook it up right to your compressor. Right to your compressor, run about 20 pounds, 30 pounds maybe. It's a neat system what they have. And I'm sure other people sell it. It's just that's where I got it from. But I sure do appreciate you inviting me up again tonight. Now you know you guys can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you much. And before we go, I needed to apologize to Jerry because I didn't give him a proper introduction. But how do you introduce somebody like Jerry? I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank Jerry. When we asked Jerry to come do this demonstration for us, I said, how much you want? He said, I don't want anything. I said, well, what about gas money? Don't want anything. I said, okay. So we as the board or as the club, we've talked it over, and there is a charity that's very near and dear to Jerry's heart, the Wounded Warriors. And the club is going to be making a donation of $300 to the Wounded Warriors for Jerry to come do the demonstration. Thank you.
And you're a member of the club for another year, for a year now.
Whether you like it or not.